put my grandmother on speed dial. I call it my Instagram. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, and the only person I could bear to attend more than one Christmas with, Kelsey.
Mistletoe, mistletoe, mistletoe. Did you like that?
Why do you always gotta ask me if I like it, so then I have to upset you live on tape? I loved it.
Yes.
It was so very much a greeting that I don't think you'll ever top it.
I felt the sarcasm. Just keep going.
This week, family trauma is in the air with 2008's Four Christmases. So what do you think the story was?
A couple gets their vacation postponed by a day because of the snowstorm, and their family finds out on the news, so they have to go see all of their families on Christmas, but both sets of their parents are divorced, so hence Four Christmases.
I actually think the story seems pretty unique. I believe you showed me this for the first time when we were on a flight.
I did. We were on our honeymoon. We were coming home.
Yes, well, I had never seen it, and I think, I've never seen anything like it either. It was an interesting premise. So Brad and Kate are this couple that are shown to be just so happy, so in love, and very against marriage and kids. And, people they meet are wondering, when is that going to happen? That's the natural next step, and they are very against that. And on top of that, every Christmas they lie to their families and claim that they are going to do charity work in different places, and they really are just going on a vacation with each other. But this happens to be the one year where they get caught on the news because there's some crazy weather event that prevents their flight to Fiji from actually leaving, and apparently all of their families are fucking watching the news at the same time because they get calls like, oh, I see that your flight got canceled. When he's all mad about the flight, I wrote down one of my favorite lines. They say that they can put them up in the hotel near the airport, and he's like, well, I'm gonna start missing flights more often if I knew there was gonna be this kind of red carpet service.
Yeah, that part is good. The overall theme of the movie, I feel like, I find it to be a little bit different after watching it multiple times. I don't think I noticed this then. I always thought this movie is really funny, and it is funny. It has its moments.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the course of the movie, which we'll get more to, it's them starting to question whether what decisions they've made is right.
Yeah.
Which I can talk more about that when we get more deep into it, because I have something to say about it.
I mean, well, kind of coming off of what you're saying, I look at this movie as a family trauma movie, which I don't think that that's what they really wanted, and it doesn't seem to be what Vince Vaughn actually talks about, what he thought the point of the movie was, and he said something about you just, you spend time with your family no matter what, blah, blah, blah. I will say that as we're about to head into the main part of the story where they have to spend Christmas with their families that they normally don't, the guy that wrote it, Seth Gordon, he inspired himself from memories of his own family Christmases where the mood was always very tense.
Yeah.
So they start off with going to Brad's father's, and
the family is unhinged.
Yeah. I mean, he walks in after not having seen his family for, I believe they say 3 years, maybe 4. His brothers start wrestling him,
MMA fighting.
Yes.
Wrestling.
They're violently throwing him around. His dad's talking shit to him. Everything's got this sort of white trash stereotype going on there.
1000%. It's supposed to make you feel like they're poor, their roof is falling apart, they don't have money, they're dressed like hillbillies, all this kind of stuff. And then when they get to opening the Christmas presents, they find out that there's a $10 cap on the Christmas spending.
Yeah, the one kid gets an Xbox and the other kid opens up a fucking flashlight and he's like, why don't you love me, Dad? And the dad's face.
Yeah.
It's just so heartbroken.
I think one of the funniest parts of this place too is that Kate finds out that Brad's name is not his given name. He changed his name, and his original name is Orlando.
Yeah.
Which his family calls him, and his brothers' names are Denver and Dallas, and they're named for the city in which they were conceived, which I think goes along with them trying to make them seem even more trashy.
Yeah. So kind of the end point of them being at his father's house is one of the gifts they got. His father is a satellite dish for his TV, because you can see he's using this very old TV with the standard old bunny ears antenna that just picks up the free cable over the air, and they're offering him, satellite channels. So they're going to, put the whole satellite dish on the roof because like the father doesn't want professional help. And the only reason I bring this up is because his house, Brad's father's house, was actually built from scratch in the Shadow Hills area of Southern California with a reinforced roof that could stand the weight of the cast and the camera crew so that they could all be up there for that scene.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting they put that work into it. But also, like, I wrote down that the set is very fitting. Like, everything in that house, all the details of the things that they have up, the knickknacks, the trinkets, the carpet, it fits exactly the story they're trying to tell about his family and who they are.
Yeah, and then Brad's sister-in-law, Susan, comes out and she says, "You want an hors d'oeuvre or something?"
Yeah,
What does
she
she
says
say?
hors d'oeuvre wrong. I don't
Hors
remember how
d'oeuvre,
she said
I
it.
don't know. And Kate takes one, and it's a Ritz cracker with aerosol cheese on it.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, is this cheese?
She's like,
Mm-hmm.
what'd you say, spray can or something?
Yeah, God.
And then she's like, I gotta put the bacon in the oven, and it's like mayonnaise, Doritos, and shredded
Ugh,
cheese.
please.
It looks so disgusting.
Earlier, when their flight is first canceled and they're going to their families, I wanted to mention I thought it was a subtle thing that when they're at the flight, obviously they're dressed for this vacation. They're wearing colorful floral Hawaiian style clothes.
Bathing suits, all of it.
Yes, and the minute they're in the car, they're wearing all black, like they're going to a funeral.
Yeah, they are.
And I thought that was like on purpose, but it's subtle. Anyway, they end up leaving and going to Kate's mother's next. And Kate's mother apparently seems to like adopt the personality of the boyfriend she's dating, and she's very
Religious.
well, she's like a cougar. And now
Oh.
she's adopted this religious persona because she's currently with a
Pastor.
yes,
What's his name? Pastor Mike?
Pastor Dwight Yoakam.
Pastor Phil. Pastor Phil.
Yes. I mean, it's hard when we talk about comedy movies because I can't sit here and go through every single joke. But, the joke there is that they go to church. It's very...
They also make fun of Kate they call her Cootie Kate because she, I guess, had cooties back in the day, or they said she did, and she got made fun of a lot and bullied, and then she was also, what they're saying, a larger person, and so they made fun of her for that, and she just gets made fun of a lot, and I think that it's kind of gross because they're literally trying to tell embarrassing stories about her to upset her
nonstop, yeah.
nonstop. And I just think that if she politely asked them not to do it and all of these things, and yeah, that didn't set with me.
Now, during this, what kind of comes up throughout the movie is this thing where it's like maybe Kate wants a baby. Now, this starts with, at this house, she sees a pregnancy test in her sister's purse. She uses it and is kind of waiting for the result. I bring that up because what happens is one of the little kids there, being a dumb fucking kid, takes the pregnancy test and thinks it's a magic marker and runs away with it, gets in a
Bounce houses.
A bounce house. I am telling you, if I was her in that bounce house, I would have started clotheslining kids.
She did start throwing him around after she literally got chest kicked on the way out. Another thing that I noticed at this point of the movie, because her sister's name is Courtney, who she has a daughter and a baby, and she's talking about, having a baby, Kate's never around, this or that. This entire movie for me, I felt like the people were trying to shape it in a way to make it seem like Brad and Kate's lives were empty and nothing because they didn't have children and they didn't desire to have children and they were just doing things for themselves, and they made that seem like it was a bad thing. Which I don't necessarily vibe with that.
Yeah, I mean, her family was very judgmental about the fact that she didn't have kids. So they end up going to the church because of Pastor Phil, and they're putting on a little nativity scene play, and they need volunteers. It ends up being Kate and Brad.
Playing Mary and Joseph.
Yes. It's so funny to me how serious Brad is taking. It's like
Yeah.
He's on Broadway.
I actually thought he came off kind of gross and sexist.
I mean, I could see that because Vince Vaughn, I've had that issue with him before in roles. I was actually going to say, I think upon seeing this movie again, I prefer him in roles where he's in a committed relationship versus trying to get the girl. I think he's so much grosser in movies like Dodgeball when he's trying to get the girl. Every comment out of his mouth is gross. Or even something like Wedding Crashers, which, I mean, that's kind of played in a funny way because the girl is a lot more aggressive than him.
Yeah.
But still, I preferred him in this role. I think the scene's funny because of just how serious he takes his whole acting thing, and it's just shows how her family doesn't know her again, because her family is saying she needs to go up there and do this because she was Pippin in a school play, and she's like, no, I was a tree and I had such bad stage fright, like. And Brad doesn't really defend her. You can kind of see their relationship getting holes poked in it now that they're around their family. But after the church, they go to Brad's mother's house. Brad's
Ugh.
mother is dating,
Brad's best friend.
yeah, from when they were kids.
And he's like, I'm not trying to be your father. I just want to be your friend.
Yeah, and Brad's like, you were my friend. We grew up together. We rode bikes together. And it's just so gross.
And he's like, I just want you to know I didn't have a sexual thought about your mother until I was 30.
And he's acting, he's like, can I get your gas? I really want to, like,
And he's like, and Brad's like, no, I make more money than you. Because him and Kate, at least he is a lawyer. I don't know about Kate. It doesn't mention if they have the same job. But his dad mentions that he's just too good for everyone because he's a lawyer. And he's like, because I wanted better for myself and to get an edge. It's like a whole point with his dad. But the best part at the mom's house is when everybody plays Taboo. And it's the mom and her boyfriend and then his brother Denver and his wife Susan.
I think that scene's gross because I hate watching Jon Favreau and
wings.
Katie Mixon both just have this very sexual tone to everything they're saying.
It's so funny. It was
just
so funny.
There's a lot of heaving in casual conversation that I don't like.
Yeah.
So in that scene, actually, Denver's wife asks who she can cheat on him with, and he says John Grisham. John Grisham wrote a book called Skipping Christmas, which is a story about a plan to avoid Christmas altogether. It's kind of similar to what Brad and Kate do every year. Anyway, during Taboo, Brad and Kate fail pretty miserably at playing with each other, and I don't think that's a problem. I think it's played in that way because it's compared to the other couples. They seem to be having fun or being perfect together. And again, they're kind of rocky in their relationship right now because they're going through something they've never gone through. A lot of people like meet families early on, traditionally at least, and they have never met each other's families. They don't spend Christmas with families regardless, and it's just kind of a mess for them. And I think a lot of things are on edge. But as they leave that house and head to the last Christmas, which is Kate's father, that's when Kate brings up that she took a pregnancy test and she kind of is thinking maybe she does want a kid and she's not sure anymore. And Brad is obviously 100% still against it, to the point where when they reach her father's house, she's like, I'm going to go inside alone. Just, you go ahead. I'll get a ride back to the city, which I'm not sure why he accepts that.
What I don't understand about all of this is she decided over the course of a few hours that she was like, no kids, no marriage, to now, like, why can't I have a kid? And why can't I have that family? And I'm not saying that she's not allowed to have those feelings, but how can she expect him to have the same thought without even a real conversation? It's just mentioned in passing, like, oh, by the way, to the next house. And then she's like, I'm done with you. Makes zero sense.
I do think that there wasn't a lot of tact in that conversation. I think after you've both been so against kids, like, it seems to be a core part of their relationship that they know they don't want kids. I think it needs to be a larger, ongoing conversation. But at the same time, let it be known, especially in today's world, that absolutely she is allowed to change her mind and decide that she wants kids.
I do agree with that. I just didn't like the way that they presented it.
Yes, because overall,
they needed to create the final rift between the two of them, which I understand.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the movie comes back to this, like, well, maybe they do want kids, and that is something that I don't like about the movie, is the way that it ends up going with that. At Kate's father's...
Yeah, they end up not being content with themselves. They just...
Yeah. So at her father's, they have, like, a Christmas dinner, and her father, reveals that he knows she lies all the time and kind of becomes like this voice of reason about the whole thing, helps them reconcile. I will say, during the filming of that dinner scene at Kate's father's, Reese Witherspoon was hit in the face with a ceramic plate and she required 5 stitches, which delayed the shoot for 3 days. There was no other information on this, but I was like, why were you hit in the face with a plate?
That's crazy. Then Brad goes to his dad's house and his dad says you can't spell families without lies, and that's something Brad said earlier in the movie, and it kind of makes him realize like he does want Kate, he's fine with having kids, blah blah blah, so he goes to Kate and they make up.
Yeah, and so then it jumps to 1 year later and they have a kid, and
on New Year's, and they didn't even tell their families that she was pregnant. So it seems like nothing changed except the movie just wanted you to think like you have to conform to society's thoughts about holidays and families.
Yeah, and that's the part of the movie that I didn't like. Like,
Correct.
if you want kids, that's fantastic. You should have them. If you don't want kids, then you shouldn't. And
Yeah.
I don't think one way about anybody, regardless of what they do, but I think it should be left up to you, and you shouldn't let your family pressure you and things like that. And ultimately, I don't like that the movie didn't really take on the fact that their families were horrible to them in
Yeah.
several different ways.
I agree. And I also feel like it didn't talk about how their families were trying to force them into it. And that goes like, if you don't want kids, great. If you do want kids, great. But you should have your family respect your decision regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I also didn't like about the movie. It almost felt like they were just conforming to what their families wanted for them.
Yeah, I don't know how you would have ended it otherwise, but they clearly had that set plan to go to the, all right, well, they had a kid. Now, according to reports, Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn hated each other during this filming. Some reports say that their personalities clashed. Vince rolls onto set in the morning looking like he just came from a night out, while Reese will arrive early looking camera ready. Reese tries to force Vince into blocking out each scene and running through the lines, and Vince tries to convince her that he's an ad-libber and wants to play around and see where the scene goes. In the end, Vince Vaughn didn't even go out to promote the film as it was coming out, which kind of speaks to there's never going to be a sequel to this because they hated each other.
Yeah.
They do seem, based on the movies they've done and their acting style, I do think they are very different, and I could see where that would be a problem.
I agree. I gave this movie a 3 out of 5. I just couldn't conform to the forced family ideals.
Yeah.
Although, like, the jokes were absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And your mom's a common street whore. Like, stuff like that was really funny, and that's why it got a 3 and not lower. But I didn't like the theme of the movie and trying to force them into feeling like they need to have kids or make Kate change her mind over a decision she's had for years in the course of, like, a few hours.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 4 out of 5, and it is because I think that, it's very funny. It is a unique idea with this, like, oh no, we have to go to 4 Christmases. A lot of Christmas movies don't do that. It's too much to be like, oh, here's these divorced families. Like, they can't cover all that. Yeah. And I think a lot of the parts were very well cast. I mean, outside of Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, I think they were great too. But
I do too.
Like, Robert Duvall as his father,
he's such a great grumpy old man.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau and Tim McGraw were good as his trashy brothers.
Yes. I mean, everybody really. And I think a lot of this comes from also the person that wrote the film. They created, like, backstories for everyone. So everybody was really kind of able to get into their character. And, like, it just went really well. And so I really liked that part of the movie. Overall, yes, the ending I didn't care for. But I still think it's a good movie.
Yeah. Let's play a game.
We are actually going to play a game this time. We're basically going to play Taboo. Real quick.
Okay.
Not a long game.
1 round each.
We'll just see how it goes because
what
I don't think I'm gonna pick pop culture for me.
Oh shoot! What are you gonna pick for me?
I mean, those are your options.
Is it starting?
Yeah, hold on.
Shawshank.
Okay. No. Ralph Macchio. You know who that is?
Yeah.
What?
Karate Kid.
Yes. Okay. This is it's a Batman movie, a specific one though.
80s, 90s.
90s?
The Batman Beyond.
No.
Batman Forever.
Yes. Okay. Kevin James has a
Zookeeper.
Position of authority.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes. Okay. This is a child who's raised in the jungle, but not the
Tarzan?
one. Nope.
A Jungle Book.
Yes. Superhero.
Big Hero 6.
No. He's
America,
rich.
Spider-Man.
DC
Iron Man.
Comics.
Bruce Wayne. Batman.
Yes. All right, you're done.
I did good.
Yeah, you did good.
He didn't do that good, but I'm just kidding. We got 6. Wait, did we really get that many?
Well, the problem is it doesn't. It's not really taboo in the sense that it doesn't have words I can't say, and so I wanted to make it somewhat of a challenge because I could have just been like, for Batman, I could have been like the superhero from the last movie you literally just named. Because, like I said, there's no words you can't say in this, but I wanted to, do something. But yeah, we did all right.
Okay.
I'll do blockbuster movies as well.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's fair. This is a podcast about movies.
Okay.
There was a film with Channing Tatum and one of the Wayans brothers, and then they had a second one that they weren't in.
What? They were.
You had these dolls as a kid. You had these dolls as a kid.
G.I. Joe.
Yes, but the female.
G.I. Jane?
Yep.
Okay.
Harrison Ford is in it, and they're in an airplane.
Oh, Get Off My Plane. Yeah. I can't think of what it's called. I have to pass.
Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Bam
Jackass?
Margera, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Oaklesby Rabbity.
8 Mile?
Yeah, the guy from Stranger Things. He is the
Hellboy?
Yep. James Bond, and he plays like poker at a thing.
Casino Royale?
Yeah, it's over.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What is your sequel?
My sequel is a direct sequel. It's called Four Families and a Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
After the family found out about the New Year's baby and came to terms with it, some time has passed, and it's time for Brad and Kate to finally get married. They wanted a destination wedding, so they decided to invite all of the families to a resort for a wedding since they used to go on so many vacations.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you boo me?
Because I don't want them to get married. I think they're forced again. But I believe that would be a sequel for sure.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but yeah. It will be the first time that all four of their families are together. Brad's dad and brothers fly out first and arrive first. Insert the funny banter. And Denver and Dallas will MMA wrestle, tackle Brad into the pool, almost drowning him.
Oh my God.
The next to arrive is Kate's mom and sister Courtney, who are helping her finalize last minute details, but their styles don't match. So insert comments and her getting made fun of again. Brad's mom and her boyfriend arrive. This arrival sparks arguing between all of Brad's families, which makes things even more awkward. And then Kate's dad shows up, but him and Kate's mom get along, so it wasn't really anything crazy. Mm-hmm. Over the course of the next few days, as Brad and Kate are finalizing things, they're getting into little fights about the details and their wants for the wedding because they're both trying to please their families and not doing what they want. One night at the family gathering, everyone is playing Taboo. Brad and Kate are the last to go and crush it, even beating Denver and Susan.
Nice.
This makes them realize they can't let family get between them again, and they lay the hammer down, letting everyone know that night that this is about them and not everyone else, and they need to respect what they want. Everyone agrees to mind their business and let their wedding go on as planned. Brad and Kate get married, and it's a funny yet family-filled great day. The end.
I like that. It's hard to do comedies because, like we've said before, you can't just sit here and write out jokes. Like, one, we're not comedians.
Yeah. I imagine, Denver and Dallas will probably be wearing, the suits with, the ripped-off sleeves and, a camo bandana at the wedding, and probably tackle Brad, afterwards at the reception at some point. But, yeah, I think it's just insert comedy because...
Yeah, I could definitely see something with, Robert Duvall being at the airport and maybe never having flown before or something, and, that being a whole thing.
And then, he's definitely going to make a comment to Brad because Brad pays for all of their flights, and...
Gross comments from Kate's mom at the pool when they're, maybe in swim trunks and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So mine is called Four Birthdays. A very similar setup to the first. So Kate and Brad have managed to avoid their families once again for one whole year since the last film. Their families, however, have all been planning to throw a party for their grandchild's first birthday. The families have gone the extra mile and taken care of everything for Brad and Kate without their knowledge. They called into their jobs to get them time off, found their babysitter and gave her time off, and they've sent out invitations to everyone Brad and Kate have ever known to come to the party. Except the families all seem to believe they were the one hosting the party, so now they have 4 different birthday parties to attend. So, just kind of some of the comedy I was imagining. Brad's father would offer whiskey to the baby, bought him a gun for his birthday, and smokes with the baby around. Kate's mother constantly bringing up baptizing the baby and even tries a home baptism when Brad and Kate aren't looking. Brad's mother keeps offering for her boyfriend / Brad's ex-friend to change the child's diaper, which is weird and makes them uncomfortable. Brad's brothers are also too rough with the baby and throw the baby into the air, catching him.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that one.
Kate's father's the only one who's a bit more respectful, but eventually it reveals that he is upset that Kate had a child with Brad, as he expected she would move on to a better man.
Oh.
And then we get kind of serious in the end. The same sort of family trauma is brought up with their families being embarrassing, overbearing, rude, ignorant, and not at all self-aware of these things. The kids would add another layer of comedy and relatability, I think. Mm-hmm. However, the end message is one that shows the couple united against their families and setting clear boundaries with a promise of no contact if the boundaries can't be respected.
Yeah, which is something that the first movie didn't do.
Yeah. So, got a bit serious there, but I think it could still be very funny.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it.
Thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. Well, I was thinking when I looked here that I didn't get a message for the end like I had been doing. Sorry about that. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Twitter. We are Nanspod everywhere.
Nanspod.
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea with a comment, tweet, or you can reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com.
Hey, everyone that's been voting on YouTube, thanks so much.
Oh, yeah.
We do appreciate it.
We have been seeing a lot more votes. I really love that. Thank you.
Even if mine do always win.
That's okay. I like to see people voting on hearing what they think in a way.
Yeah.
Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share our show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless sequels. Next week, we are watching Krampus on Max. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye!